Now, let's get some more analysis on this development at Eskom, and we are joined now by energy expert Ruse Moleshe. Ruse, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. So, 23 years later, finally Eskom has got a separate, or what do you say, a new transmission company. How is this going to impact on supply?
So Eskom is going to separate the transmission division into a new subsidiary, still belonging to the group that is Eskom. And this is going to help because the national transmission company is going to be independent of the generation side of Eskom, which generation side will compete with the independent power producers and others to sell power to Eskom. Of course, the license for now is still for the system operation as well as the transmission infrastructure. They are still waiting for the rest of the licenses.
Yeah.
I don't know if I answered the question.
What are these ancillary services that are being supplied by the system operator that are now going to be a little bit more clearer?
So the system operator operates the system for the whole generation capacity in South Africa and transmits the power to where it's supposed to go in to customers. Most importantly, manages the grid when we have load shedding. It's because they are managing the grid so that we don't have a collapse. That demand and supply are always meeting each other. And so that is what the services are, to make sure that the system is stable, the system is managed every minute so that we have a reliable supply system in the country.
Yeah. So are we not going to find ourselves once again in a situation where now we've got three separate companies and they all go and get debt, and then we are just now 3 times more indebted because we know we've got challenges as far as generation is concerned, and that needs a lot of investment. Now, at transmission level, we know that we are beginning to have grid constraints. So the transmission company is also going to say, well, we need investment, otherwise there will be no more space. So we need to improve this particular network that we have. And then you're going to have distribution also saying, well, we've got these constraints. So we're almost now going to have to go get money for all these 3 companies somewhere.
So the transmission business within Eskom, it has always been one of the best run, even with the constraints that we have. So separating it will not make it any less efficient. Instead, there will be a lot more focus. It will be independent. Remember that right now, Eskom buys power from other independent power producers, but still competes with those independent power producers, has information about their applications and how they are doing things. So that is not seen to be fair. Now, this will be independent, even though it will still be a subsidiary of Eskom. That will provide fairness to the market so that the system operator decides which is the best option to take from. Obviously, this will happen over a long time because we currently have Eskom generation being a dominant system, so we can't do without. So this is a transitional period that is expected to unravel over time and work more effectively. It will have its own board. It will have its own infrastructure, which is the transmission infrastructure, because there will be those who connect to the transmission system will pay fees. It's likely to run better in terms of finances and costs. We will have its own independent board that will hold them accountable to run the system. So I don't anticipate that it will move from working efficiently to being worse off when it's separated. Instead, I think there will be a relatively more focus.
Yeah, but in the immediate, the experience is not going to be any different. I mean, it's not like we've got a transmission company now, all of a sudden all our problems are gone.
The balance sheet is still constrained, that of Eskom, so we're still going to experience a lot of constraints in terms of rolling out the infrastructure. This is why the Minister of Electricity was talking about the fact that they are going to have to come up with solution, and underline have to come up with solution, meaning we're also still in the planning phase. in some areas, still trying to figure out how we're going to resolve the problem that results from constraints. And remember that those independent power producers, if there's no infrastructure for them to connect, that means that the longer it takes us to resolve the issue of generation capacity. Because we are not only supposed to be ending load shedding, but we are supposed to have a reliable supply with a reserve margin for when things go wrong, then we are able to tap into that. We are far from that right now.
Ruse Moleshe, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on, Energy Expert there. Ruse helping us understand a little bit more what this transmission company is really going to bring into the energy supply constraints in the country. Right.